I want to welcome you to the Pro Mindset Podcast. The Pro Mindset Podcast is all about diving into the headspace that results in championship performance. High-performing athletes, winners, have this mental flow and have a positive headspace for their performances and success. Join me, Craig Doman, sports attorney and NFL agent, on this podcast. I will interview pro athletes, college athletes, football coaches, and sports personalities. Together, we can discover how you can get in the flow and have your own pro mindset. I want to welcome on Pro Mindset Podcast today, Adi Kunali. Adi is the current CEO of Open Doors. Open Doors is a unique company that is the number one company and the original company in the social media marketing space for athletes and brands. And Adi played college football, played in the NFL. He has a very unique perspective on so many things. I want to welcome Adi on the show today. Welcome, Adi.
How's it going, Craig? Thanks for having me.
You are welcome. Okay, so give me a little bit of your background in sports and how you ended up in Lincoln, Nebraska playing for the Cornhuskers.
Absolutely. So, original background, I moved to the States in 2000 and grew up in Fort Worth. And I went to high school at North Crowley, and I played soccer my entire life. I was a soccer player, and one of my buddies actually proposed that I should start kicking footballs, and it was something that I kind of always toyed with or thought about doing, and I just kind of never really took it serious. But then my sophomore year, I went and tried out for the football team. I noticed that they didn't have really anyone at the kicking position that was having a lot of success. I think it was kind of I think at the time it was the quarterback that was also doing it. But I made the team and started kicking soon after. I was on the varsity team, and I spent 3 years playing for them, and then ultimately got my first scholarship offer my junior year, and then they kind of started to roll in. And Nebraska was one of them that came through, and I have to be honest, I didn't really know where Nebraska was at, and being an immigrant and not really being too exposed to college football in general, it was one of those things where I was talking to a friend and I told him that Nebraska had offered me, and he was like, "Oh my God, those guys they're so good in the 90s and early 2000s," and so it was an exciting thing. And I remember coming on my visit and just realizing the true impact that the football team has on the state and how much people care about it. And so after going on my visit, and although I had offers from other schools that were promising and whatnot, I kind of just decided to commit to them. And so moved up to Lincoln in 2007, and kind of the rest is history after that.
Kind of share with the audience your background, your family background, when you came to the States, under what circumstances you came to the States.
I was born in Bosnia. There was a civil war that lasted about 5 years. And so when I was probably 3 or 4 years old, my parents and my brother and we fled to Germany. And so I was a refugee. We were refugees in Berlin, Germany for about 6 years. So from roughly 94, 95 to 2000 before we moved to the States. And so during the war, it was just kind of, we needed kind of a place to live, and it was pretty bad in Bosnia. And so once the war ended, there was an opportunity to move back and kind of try to start life again. But my parents decided to look elsewhere, and the U.S. at the time was allowing immigrants from war-torn countries to immigrate to the U.S. And I'm very thankful and grateful that they did that, because it gave us all kinds of opportunities. And so when we moved to the States, it was kind of like, okay, now you got to kind of start from scratch. And I was 11 at the time, and my parents have really worked their tails off to raise my brother and I the right way. And it's been I think that part of it, although it was tough and something to kind of not the standard way of how people or children will grow up, I think it really kind of shaped the way that I think about things, and how much I'm grateful for, and the opportunity that I have today as a U.S. citizen now, and all the things I get to do, because it really kind of shapes the outlook that I have on some of the freedoms that we have in this country, and why I love, being here and doing some of the things I do.
Well, typically I find that 4 things drive people. It's either their faith, it's their background, it's their failures, or in the athlete business that I've been in for my whole career, sports really is very influential in formulating the mindset of people moving forward even after their sports career is over. And you have a multitude of those things in your game.
Absolutely.
Let me ask you this. When we spoke a few weeks ago, you talked about, as president and founder of an upstart company that's doing very well in the sports marketing world, you have a tremendous regiment and you have a very, very disciplined lifestyle. Why don't you share for the audience, how you attack a day?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, and it's funny. I think it's something that you get kind of used to over time. One of the things that I've always done is I've always been an early riser. So even after I was done playing college ball and then, done playing in the NFL, I just kind of continued that part of my starting the day with a workout. And the only thing that's changed over the last 8 years has probably been how early I get up. It's like incrementally every year, I feel like I've bumped it up 30 minutes. And so, a typical day for me now is alarm goes off at 4:30. And I roll out of, I'll roll out of bed right away and, get myself ready just mentally. I'll get to the gym around 5:15, get my workout in. Nothing too crazy, but just something to almost like it's a way for me to clear my mind. And I feel like the workout is the one place where I'm not looking at emails. I just got my music in and I'm just by myself. But once I get done with that, I get back home. And I'll go through having my breakfast and then I spend some time on prayer, and it's been kind of a big part of my life and a form of prayer and meditation just to kind of get my mind right. So one of the things that I really enjoy about that is then by the time I get to work, and usually I'll roll into the office about 7:45, I have already accomplished a lot of things, right? And so there's a sense of no matter what kind of problem or issue arises or thing that gets thrown at me, I'm already like, well, I'm super grateful that I even have this opportunity, and I'm super thankful that I've been able to do some of these things that I can just simply overcome that. And so I think that having that habit also sets you up. Then obviously the only way to get up that early is if you go to bed early. And so that's something I've appreciated too, is I get to bed early. My wife and I both are laying down around 10. It keeps you very consistent and allows you to have a good habit in your life, and really keeps you focused on accomplishing all the things that you want to do, and kind of minimizes some of the distractions that people can have during the week. And so I really enjoy that routine, and who knows once I have kids if it's going to continue to be that way. But right now I also see it as a privilege to be able to wake up that early, go to the gym and have all that time to myself before the day even gets going.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's go back to when you were at the University of Nebraska and you were a kicker. What was your best attribute as a kicker that allowed you to get an opportunity to play in the NFL?
Yeah, so it's kind of crazy. I got to college football, so I got to Nebraska in 2007. It was the year that they moved the kickoff yard line to the 30, from the 35 to the 30, and so getting the ball into the end zone was rather difficult for the majority of kickers at the time. But one of the things that I've always had been gifted with, and just something that I've had since I was a kid, was I just had a very strong leg. And then over time, I just honed my craft and got very, very good at getting the ball in the end zone, and most of the times out of the back of the end zone. And so that was kind of a specialty of mine, and that I really focused and worked on tirelessly. But that allowed me to have each year I was in the one to top three in terms of kickoffs that went for touchbacks, and and even in the first game was able to, tie the record for most touchbacks in the game. So it kind of created an opportunity for me to really show NFL scouts my leg. And then obviously when I got there, I didn't know I was going to be playing behind the most accurate kicker in college football, and Alex Henry. And so it was cool that we were both there at the same time. I even, once we were 2 years in, I even considered transferring because I wanted to be able to, place kick. Because I think that's what, in my head, I was like, you know what, the only way I'll be able to play at the next level is if I can do both. And I kind of just stuck with Nebraska. I was told by some folks that as long as I continue to have a strong leg, it will be a priority for me. I'll get a shot at the NFL, and it worked out that way. So I continued to lead the country in kickoffs every year and kickoff coverage, yardage, and then once I got the opportunity to kick in front of scouts, it was great because we had a first round draft pick in Prince. So we had all 32 scouts that were in Nebraska and Lincoln, and then Alex and I got to, kick field goals head to head, and I was hitting them just like he was the entire time, didn't miss any field goals. I think that exposure really gave me an opportunity then to get signed by the Carolina Panthers and get to prove myself that way. So it was one of those things where I came to Nebraska thinking I was going to do all of it, and then circumstances happened, but I tried to make the most out of the things that I could control, and ended up, working out for me.
Well, during that time frame you were at Nebraska, it was almost like kicker you, because Nebraska's had a lot of successful kickers go on to the NFL and do very well, and Alex was one of them. But you were a part of that group.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was crazy because I think I had shared a post a couple of weeks back, and it was, just with the issues that Nebraska's had at the kicking position. So in 2009 and 10, it was myself, Alex, and then Brett Maher was the third string kicker that we had on the team, and he's kicking for the Cowboys now. And then, obviously Alex had his career with the Eagles. He had a really good career in the NFL shortly after. And the crazy thing was that out of all the kickers that were on active rosters at the end of 2011, it was myself, Alex, and then I think it was Dan Bailey. He got signed by the Cowboys back then. So it's kind of crazy to think about with just how many kickers, out of that class that came out, and then for both Alex and I to be on teams. The odds are very slim for that to be a reality, but I think we both made the most out of what we had in front of us.
No doubt. Let's talk about the benefit of playing sports, especially being a kicker and a field goal kicker, where you've got 90,000 eyes on you. I mean, it's like shooting a free throw at the end of a basketball game. Everybody's watching you. Okay.
Yeah.
How some of that kind of focus, concentration, mindset carries over to, being in New York in a boardroom with some potential investors or potential clients and trying to get a deal done. What was how did you get in the zone, and what was your pre-kick thought system? And then how does that carry over to today when you might be having a really important phone call or meeting, and what your pre-event thinking is?
Yeah, definitely. So what I would say is, I think the coolest part about the kicking position is that you are able to hone your craft and work on it by yourself without the need of anybody else, right? Nobody has to throw you the ball. Nobody has to pass you the ball. It's just you and the field goal posts, or you and the field and a couple of balls. So it really comes down to repetition. It comes down to routine. It comes down to habit, and you can spend as much time in preparation as you want. Where the huge leap is for when someone sees a guy hit a 60-yarder, most kickers are going to tell you, like, okay, that's easy. Like, I can hit that all. And that's true. Like physically, most kickers are, they can make those field goals. But the difference is the guys that can do it in a game. And it just comes down to your mindset and how much you can remove yourself from the ups and downs and the emotions of a game, right? So one thing that I think translated really well, like during my time when I was in the NFL, I was actually getting a chance to kick field goals as well. And one thing I definitely did when it came down to that is, like, I didn't get so involved in the game itself. I would actually just I didn't let that play with my emotions. I knew what my job was, and so I would just kind of understand where we're at on the field, and obviously pay attention. But so that way, when the field goal unit was called out, I'm like just putting my helmet on and I'm walking out on the field, and there's nothing that is kind of sitting there that's playing with me. It's just my mindset is so clear on I just need to make this field goal. I don't care about anything else. And I think that was one thing that really helped me kind of channel that and learn those things. That's how it really comes down in business. It's the level of preparedness, the repetition, the habits, all the things that you do when you're by yourself, so that when the time comes to do it in front of other people, you're just so prepared that you don't even let anything faze you, right? So I think that translates really well. Like I still to this day am very good at figuring out, things out. If we need to, accomplish something as a company, or we need to learn a new thing, or the team needs to build a new process, like I can go and read a ton of different things, synthesize that information, package it up, and then prepare myself to deliver what needs to be delivered, and do it in a way. It's because I've literally been doing that my entire life, which is you go out and you kick by yourself every single day, and you literally get it down to perfection. So then when the game does come up, when you do walk into that meeting, you've done it a million times, and you're not letting the circumstance of being just in a different environment change the way that you approach what you're doing. And so I think that some of the best people just have those habits. They have the things that they do every single day, the things that they think about all the time, and that is what creates a level of confidence that allows you then to perform when you need to.
That sounds like somebody that's very focused and doesn't allow outside noise to interfere with their thinking and their job. And I think as a kicker, the reality of, hey, it's just an extra point. There's no pressure. But if you look at the team you're playing with, just scored the game-tying touchdown, but they need the extra point to really make the tie or to win, then all of a sudden, you're either going to send home 90,000 fans in a good mood, or you're going to be the GOAT and not the good GOAT, right? So when you start attaching the potential outcomes to your job, it changes the pressure in doing your job.
It does.
So what you basically are saying is we're just going to keep our blinders on, and we're going to focus on executing and doing our job to the best of your ability, whether it's in a boardroom or on a football field, and we'll let the consequences and the outcome and the results take care of themselves.
Absolutely. And it does. You're absolutely right, Craig. I think the other piece that plays a big part in this is that sometimes people will forget. It does truly matter how you practice. And what I mean by that is if you don't take the kicks serious because it's practice, there's no way you're going to take them serious when you're doing it in a game. And so it's not, and what I mean by serious is just like your level of kind of, how you show up and your commitment. And if you're, being lazy, or if you're kind of trying to cut corners, like those things like are incremental things that add up over time. And so it does absolutely matters. But I think it is like the hardest part is to, like you said, focus in and cancel out the noise. And certainly like some parts of that, like it's difficult to do that, whether it's you go into a huge meeting and you just know that if you land this meeting, there's a huge impact that it can have on the business. And certainly it's like kicking a game winner. But anything that you can do to remove yourself from that and to say, hey, this is just another kick, or this is just another pitch, it only will help you, execute better, just because you won't be putting as much weight on it.
No doubt. Okay, so we haven't really spoken about your company, Open Doors, and what they do and how much growth they've had and what their space is in the sports marketing world, and how you've kind of been the matchmaker, almost like Match.com, for athletes and companies. So why don't you share for our audience what Open Doors is and where you started and where you're at now?
Absolutely. So Open Doors is an athlete marketing platform, and we help about 10,000 athletes across the world share content on social. And And we do that by working with teams, properties, brands, sponsors, anyone in the world that is looking to share a piece of content with an athlete to really make it easier for both parties, can use Open Doors to do it. So if you think about Venmo, the app, if you want to send someone money, like that's the level of simplicity and transaction that happens with Open Doors, where if you're a brand and you want to send a piece of content to Rob Gronkowski so that he can talk about your brand, like literally you can log into our platform, he gets a text and it'll say, hey, so-and-so wants you to share this piece of content at 2:00 on Friday on Facebook and Twitter. If you click approve, like the post will automatically go out on his account, and then the brand gets kind of the analytics, and Rob gets paid. And same thing goes for if teams or athletic departments or whatever just want to share marketing content with their student athletes that really helps them establish their brands and get more activity on their social accounts. They use our platform to do it because it's just the most simple way to get a piece of content to an athlete's Instagram, Facebook or Twitter channel. So we've been building this company, Craig, for going on 7 years now. Started in 2013. Blake and I, my business partner and I, we had a company before that. It was a social media agency, and it was acquired in 2014. And Open Doors was a little bit of a spin-off out of that. And we really wanted to focus on that problem that really existed, which was social media was growing. The power that athletes have on their social channels to influence, to empower, to with these huge loyal followings that they have, like it was becoming greater and greater. And so we really wanted to make that connection point to allow anyone that wants to connect with them and share content with them easier. And so it's been fun. Obviously, we've been doing this for a while now, but I guess if there's one thing that I really enjoy is just the community that is around this with the social media sports community and how involved people are and how much they champion the use of Open Doors, how much they champion the value that athletes can bring to kind of the marketing environment. And when I was in the league, there wasn't a lot of opportunities for guys that are, barely making the roster to make any money or even to collaborate with brands. And now we've created a world where that can happen. And so it's pretty cool to kind of be a part of, developing that ecosystem that kind of brings it all together.
So let's talk about two sides of the coin here. One is the companies that could benefit from social media marketing leveraging athletes.
Yep.
If you're sitting down with the CEO or the marketing director, the VP of marketing for a major company, and their product or service is something that could be greatly benefited by leveraging the athlete endorsement.
Mm-hmm.
What is like your sales pitch to them for the justification and the ROI of using your company to do what you do?
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, on the easiest thing is to say is just that people will stop their scroll on their phones where they're spending like 70% of their day, way more for faces than logos, right? So athletes are, when we have the stats to prove this, athletes are 6 to 10 times more engaging, than teams, properties, leagues, like combined, right? So anytime that an athlete shares something, people are just that much more likely to engage with that content, to comment on it, to follow it, to, pay attention. And so our pitch is very easy. And so, yeah, again, it goes back to the athletes being 6 to 10 times more engaging and us knowing that. I think that a lot of brands and a lot of sponsors, they know this. They know athletes are powerful. They know they're engaging. I think that what's been the issue for a long time is access and reliability, right? So as you can imagine, I mean, you're in this world, Craig, and athletes have a lot going on in their life, right? And so with practice, with meetings, with, watching game film, with life just happening, like it becomes very difficult sometimes to get a hold of them, and you don't want to bug them, and you want to let them focus on the field. And Open Doors really has created a world we minimize distractions for athletes and allow them to continue to do what they're doing best, which is stay on the field and work on their craft. But we also don't want to limit them from the ability to work with brands and sponsors. So we really have solved that access and reliability standpoint, because the technology provides the reliability and the access of us just being in the pockets of everyone, allows us to, streamline the process. So really, I think everyone generally knows that athletes are more effective, and it's always been I just don't know the process of how I can get a hold of them or how I can work with them, and so that's what I would say is the fact that people stop their scroll for faces, not logos, and it's something we keep hidden on ourselves.
Okay, so let's say you're an athlete, and the two most important things, in my opinion, is you have to be a high performing, positive athlete, and you have to have excellent character in terms of not doing something stupid off the court time in the field. Okay. Mm-hmm. So let's assume that you're a young man or woman, might be in the Olympics, might be in the NFL, and you're doing a good job. You've got great character. You don't have any skeletons in your closet. You would be a great fit for lots of brands and companies, but you don't have a huge digital footprint. You don't post a lot. You don't have a big image. What do you recommend to those athletes so that they can enhance their attractiveness to brands and companies?
Yeah, that's a great question, and something that comes up quite frequently by athletes themselves. And one of the things that we try to pitch and position all the time is that some activity is better than no activity, right? And what I mean by that is that it is easy. Social media is just like anything else. Like, if you don't use it a lot, you start to lose the idea of oh, this is how you do it, right? Like, if you haven't posted anything in a long time, you almost have this fear of getting on there and posting something again, because it's been a long time. So one of the things that we try to preach is hey, sending something out, it could be as simple as a picture or a GIF or a throwback, is better than not doing anything. Because I think that there are and I myself am included, as I would say I'm a social media introvert. I don't like to share everything about my life on social. There are some people who are very good at that, and there are some people that overshare. I think it's easy to kind of get distracted by that and sit there and say, oh my God, I don't want to be like this, I don't want to be like that, and then you hinder yourself from being active at all. And I think you're doing yourself a disservice from building your brand standpoint, but also there's a lot of fans, there's a lot of people who have been supporting you this entire time. There's a lot of followers that are missing out on connecting with you and just seeing what you're up to. And again, I think people build it up in their head that they have to be a certain personality, or that they have to do all these crazy things. And it's that's absolutely not true. You can literally share a photo with a hashtag TBT every Thursday for the next 6 weeks, and that could be enough. I mean, maybe that's not the best strategy, but it can be enough, right? Because there's something that you're getting out there, and I think it opens people up to then allowing people to comment on that, and then you can engage, and then you're going to become more active yourself. So I think athletes just need to put themselves into understanding that they don't have to emulate anyone. They don't have to sit there and be like, well, I'm not like Juju, and so I'm not going to do it. Well, it's like Juju is a one of one, right? He is a innate marketer, and he's going to be very good at, and he doesn't need to, he can post 10, 15 times a day, and it's just, he does that on a whim because he's not thinking about it. He's literally he's got strategy, but it's who he is, it's his personality, and you don't need to be that to have a following and to grow it and to build a loyal fan. You can be the guy that posts twice or 3 times a week or once a week if you want to start, but having some activity go out versus no activity is kind of where you want to be, because once it sits dormant for a while, it's so difficult to get back on there. Just also never know as an athlete when kind of your last game will be or when it's going to be over, and you want to be able to tap into the network that you've built, and hopefully that following and that network you've built has been pretty active, because then it's much easier to reconnect with folks for alternative opportunities or transitions or collaborations. And so again, I would just, Greg, I would just say that activity is better than nothing.
I think you find, and this is maybe just my perspective, but I think you find two different types of people when you evaluate their relationship with their social. They either are very engaged and they are active, they're on everybody else's, they're subconsciously thinking about theirs, and when they go out to dinner, when they go to events, when they travel, when they're doing things, they're thinking about, hey, what kind of picture, what kind of video, what kind of whatever do I want to put out? And then you got other people that have a dead relationship with their social, and they don't even know where to start.
You're absolutely right. No, there is. I mean, and I think that it's funny. It's like I was with Will Compton, good buddy, and he's been in the league for I think 5 or 6 years now, and he's kind of transitioned over to starting his own podcast. But I was hanging out with him a couple of weekends ago, and he's on his phone, and it's like we're hanging out, and we're like, for me, if I'm like with my buddies and we're doing something, I'm like, I don't look at my phone. Like sometimes I'll look at it, but like I'm not thinking about creating a post, right? Like I'm more on the introverted side where Will, like it's like every 20 to 30 minutes he'll pull his phone out, and I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm sending out a tweet. I'm like, what? Like that? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, that's crazy, right? So there's some people who but he has a voice. He has an audience. Like he knows exactly and he's so connected to his followers, and he's done a great job building that over time that he's comfortable just sending something out, like a quick thought or a comment someone made. He might be like, oh, that's a funny thing. Like, here's, I'm going to, and then he kicks that out. And so you're absolutely right. I think that some of us are kind of wired that way, or we get to that point where we can be in an environment, we can be, in an experience or something. And we're thinking of how can we create content around this? And we can still enjoy that experience to some extent. But then there's others who maybe have a more difficult time. And so for them, social is more of I will do that at a different point. Right now, it's like I'm just going to, immerse myself in what I'm currently doing. Absolutely.
Where do you see the industry going? I mean, you guys are a big part of the sports marketing world, but where do you see the growth? And I'm not looking for trade secrets. I'm just looking for ideas for, like there's so many people today, they're going to school to major in social media marketing. Where's this going?
So, I think it would be to tell you where it's going to go. Like I would be making things up, right? It's so crazy with how many new things come up all the time and kind of where things are trending. I think overarching thing for someone that's like coming fresh out of college, I would just say that you investing in your social channels while you're still in school with kind of the professional hat on is the earlier you can start that, the better, right? And so especially even for athletes, right? Like one of the most untapped, underrated things that student athletes are not paying attention to is just having a LinkedIn profile. Like, holy crap. It's like the amount of people that apply at Open Doors, and if they don't have a LinkedIn profile, I'm like, I don't even know how to look at you. I don't even know that you exist, right? Like that's just the world that we live in today. And so I think that's a great place for people to start, is just setting up a profile. And while they have leverage, while people are kind of looking at them as a student athlete and want to be affiliated with them, starting to establish a massive network of connections of folks that you can reach out to and potentially work with in the future. So I think that's one channel to definitely look at, but also just knowing that like being active on social makes it allows you to be visible and allows people to quickly kind of figure out if you are what kind of person you are, and you can see it as if you're going to be in social media specifically, there is a huge community that works in social media who's extremely active on social, which is great because it's like, hey, I just got to connect with these people. So there's a lot of exposure that you get to that. But I would just say, if I had to give someone advice, it's like if you're going to try to work in social, you better be social yourself, right? Like you better practice kind of what you preach. And it certainly makes it easier to then, pick up little cues here and there, and also know who to be connected with and how to approach things. And, all those things have a big play in it. But as far as the future goes and where things are going to go, I mean, who knows, right? Like I think we've been seeing the emergence of just more and more emphasis on longer form content and more quality, and different kind of channels also getting more involved with how they monetize those things and what brands do. And so, I mean, I'm excited to just be a part of it all and see where things go. And it'll be a fun thing, but who knows?
Your guess is as good as anybody's. We don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Let's pipe into your athletic experience, and also not just your personal experience, but also the experience that you have through some of your relationships with teammates that played in the league perhaps longer than you did,
mm-hmm.
or maybe even relationships you have with pros today through your business that are at the top of their game. What is the mental makeup that the elite of the elite have that maybe the rest don't have?
Probably hardest worker in the room. Like that, I mean, that is one of those things, because if you break it down, the guys that end up going to the league, maybe even undrafted and make a team, I mean, part of it is like to make a team in the NFL, I would say if you're not, for example, drafted, you got to get pretty damn lucky, right? So certain things have to happen a certain way, someone gets hurt, all this stuff. But you don't even get that opportunity unless you are the hardest worker in the room. And so some of the guys that I know that have continued to have long careers are just, they work their ass off. And it's like people just want that stuff on their team. And so that will never, I don't think that will ever go away. I mean, it is so, and that level of kind of, that discipline is attractive, right? And so I would say that people like that, and even in business, you just know, man, you meet someone and you know right from the get-go the way that they are answering questions, the way that they approach life, the way that they handle conflict, whatever it may be. If they're just working there, they have a motor on them, oh my God, they can go pretty damn far, right? And like you said, like talent, I think there's certain players where you're like, oh my God, this guy is incredibly talented. They are so gifted that like they were meant for the sport. And that happens every now and then, but it's not something that you can ever sit there and try to say, hey, that's going to be my strategy, because that strategy rarely ever works out. Those are more isolated incidents than anything. But I think that if there's a recipe, man, and what the crazy part about that kind of secret is that anyone can do it. It's like anyone can work their ass off if they really want it. That is probably something that I've kind of seen consistently across anyone that I've known that's been in the league or any other sports for a long time, is that, man, they work their ass off, and you can really tell when you kind of, see them perform, or just when you chat with them.
1,000% agree with that. Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
And, hard work eventually, and it begs the question, how does hard work beat talent? That's where the skill development takes place. That's where the rubber meets the road. When you work hard, you may not be like natural at something, but the more you work at it, eventually you get good at it.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Absolutely.
I think that when I look at professional athletes and guys, and obviously it starts when they're 9 years old and 15 years old, and they're in high school and college and so on and so forth, but they just don't wake up one day and they're an NFL player.
Mm-hmm.
It's what's their lifestyle that breeds the opportunity for them to develop at whatever they do and get better at whatever they do. And it's no different in the business world. If somebody's not a very good public speaker, or someone's not a good thinker on their feet, but they get lots of practice at it, 5 years from now they might be the best one in the building.
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't show up looking like that.
You're so right. You're so right. And I think that the word that kind of came up as you were saying all that, to me, is just repetition. Like when you're super talented, man, what makes you want to go and repeat something over and over and over and over and over again? Like, you have the talent, so you're like, I'm good, right? Like, and you can you'll still work. But I think that when you continue to have that mindset of, I need to work harder than anyone else, you just repeat certain things over and over and over again, that incrementally over time, you get very, very good at that one thing, right? And so you're absolutely right. I mean, some folks, I mean, they may not start off a certain way, and but man, on the back end of all their work is kind of where they reap the rewards from that. And again, that is a very difficult thing to do, but it is it's on the surface, it's kind of a simple solution, right? Like work. I think that the biggest reason that people have such a hard time with it is because it also takes the longest. Like, you have to do it that way, and it's not something you just do. It's not a project. It doesn't have a start and end date. It's more of a mindset. If you can make that your mindset, then you'll go pretty far.
Well, I think not only does it not have a timeline, it's something you have to do all the time. It's a part of who you are, and you have to do it despite adversity, despite the fact that your coach or your boss doesn't believe in you. You have to do it when sometimes you don't get a lot of repetitions. You may not be the guy that's picked to present the marketing idea to the client. You may not be the athlete that gets the number one reps. You might be, down the depth chart. And so you got to know how to work hard, and you got to find a way to develop, despite the fact that your opportunities may not be as many as others.
Absolutely. And listen, I think that's one thing that is really cool about sports, that kind of stays true, or kind of stays with people as they transition into the real world and professional life. And that's what I mean by real world. I still don't think playing the NFL is the real world, because it's super. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's incredibly challenging and rewarding, and certainly financially a really good place to be. But it's not real in the sense that, compared to the typical job that you will have, that salary is usually what you make in a week or two, right, in the NFL. And so I think it's just understanding I lost my thought there, but it's understanding the longevity that's involved in that, and how difficult it is to keep doing it for a while.
One thing that's interesting about sports that applies to what you and Blake, your partner, Blake Lawrence at Open Doors, have to do is being the CEOs and presidents of an organization. It's very similar to being a professional athlete, because it's your baby, and you get to decide which direction you go. And you might get input from employees, and as an athlete, you get input from your circle of influence. But it's about, it takes on your identity. So the company takes on your identity. It takes on Blake's identity. Now, don't get me wrong, it takes on everybody's, but they're reflecting you. You're not reflecting them. And as an athlete, these guys sometimes forget they're like the CEO of their own company. And so you got to conduct yourself accordingly, that there's a lot to be gained. There's a lot of opportunity. How much are you going to capitalize on it during the window of opportunity you have?
Yeah. No, you're so right. I mean, that the amount of things that one of the ways that I've always looked at running a business is, to your point, Craig, is our team, the people that we have on our team, the things they do, the issues that we run into, the problems that we encounter, they are a direct result of things that Blake and I embody. So if we have a issue in our culture, or there's a gap or something, I just look at myself right away. I'm like, well, what the hell did we do wrong here? Like, did we just, because it's the easiest way, honestly, to overcome anything is to just point the finger at yourself right away, just off the bat. Sometimes it's not even your fault, but you just do it because it allows you to really address, okay, let's figure out what happened here, right? And I've always done that, where I'm like, you know what, it's either I didn't give this person the right resources, I didn't put them in the right position, and ultimately it was my fault that we encountered this. And I think that has helped me so much deal with certain things that have kind of come up, because I can start to immediately address the actual problem versus sitting there and saying, oh my God, why is our why is our culture like this, or why are people leaving and whatnot? It's like, no, look at yourself, man. And I think when an athlete, if you start to treat yourself like a business and things that happen in your life, I mean, it's the same thing. It's like, if you get in trouble, and you're like, well, I was, hanging out with this friend or these guys. It's like, well, shit, look at your freaking friend circle of friends. And if they are getting into trouble, guess what's going to happen to you, man? And so I think sometimes people will try to label that, and they'll try to kind of defer and say, you know what, it wasn't me. Like, I shouldn't have been there. Like, I was with these guys, or I was with I was with this group. And it's like, that is a direct responsibility of yours. You have ownership of who you hang out with, what you do, how late you stay out, and whatnot. But if you treat yourself like a business, then you'll understand that, like, it matters. It matters when you go to bed. It matters how you position yourself, how you carry yourself, who you talk to when you do it, the closest people in your life, the people that you take care of, how grateful you are. Like, all those things matter because they are extensions of you and how people, perceive you. So I love that kind of example that you provided there too.
Well, something else that came to my mind is a quote that I've heard, and when you really break it down, it's spot on. And that is, when you have the opportunity of a lifetime, you must act within the lifetime of the opportunity. For young people, especially in careers of sports, like, you're a college football player, you have eligibility limitations. You can't wake up at 25 and go, oh, now I figured it out, I'm going to go back to my college and play. No, you're done. And in the NFL, it's the same way. Where in business, you can recover. Okay. Now, you may not be able to get that opportunity back, but you may get yourself a new one. But I think it's very, very important on a focus and urgency level to recognize when you have an opportunity of a lifetime. And when you recognize it, then you act on it within the lifetime of that opportunity, because opportunities, by definition, don't mean forever.
Yep. You're absolutely right. And like you said, it's about realizing when that is happening and what that opportunity is. Because I think for me, it's always been like, the worst situation is I never want to wake up in the future and look back at a situation with any kind of regret. And I think that has kind of been my mentality about a lot of things. And so then when I do have something that presents itself, I'm like, man, I gotta capitalize on this. I don't even know how, but I absolutely have to, because I just do not want to wake up 10 years from now and be like, oh my God, 2019, this happened and I had this opportunity and I didn't maximize it, or I didn't really put my best foot forward on it. And that is a feeling that I simply do not want to experience.
What's the one mindset thing you learned as an athlete, college football player and NFL player, that has made you a successful entrepreneur?
Oh God. Well, I think sports teaches you that it literally, like, what you want does not matter, right? And I guess in a form of people who struggle with entitlement or I guess a better way to put this is, typically if you've been a D1 athlete or played at a higher level in sports, you don't have that that's not part of your nature, is to feel like you deserve something or that you're owed something. And I think that as I've encountered people who have, played sports in their entire life, and then when I meet them and I work with them or whatever it may be in the professional space, like, that gets them so much further. Just that mindset that, like, nothing is owed to you. You have to earn everything yourself. And I think sports really teaches us that like, it literally doesn't matter what you want. The best person will play, and you can't bitch about that, and you can't do anything about that. It's just, that's how it is. And I think in the business world, the market is the market, and I think it teaches you really, like, sports is like, you can't complain because no one will listen or care. And I've loved that, and I've loved any athletes who kind of have, again, played at a high level, they just come in with that mentality where it's like, dude, I can't, I just got to go. No one cares about what I want or that this didn't happen because of that. And that's one thing that I feel like sticks with a lot of people, and they should continue to hone that strength.
Well, from playing sports, just kind of echo those comments. I think from playing sports, you learn so many life lessons, and you learn how it's not fair.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's never been an athlete that's gone through his or her entire career that could say, oh, yeah, every competition I played in was fair. There's never an official mistake. The coaches always called the right plays. No, it's a game of unfairness, and it's an environment where somebody might look better than you, may not care as much about the game, may not love the game as much, but the coach plays that person instead of you.
Yep,
that's life.
That is life.
And so I think sports prepares you for life better than life itself sometimes, because in sports you get such big doses of all those things.
Oh, I love that. You're so right. I mean, that is literally what happens all the time. And man, it's brutal when somebody encounters that and they're trying to make sense of it, and it's like, no, that's just how it is, man. This is not going to be fair, and there's nothing you can do about it. It's just like, that's the world.
Amen. Okay, Adi, I want to thank you for being on Pro Mindset today. I want to thank you for your comments, your perspective. You have really two awesome perspectives. One from being a college football player, NFL player, and as being a CEO and president of a jam and company today. And so I just want to thank you for being on the show and wish you guys and yourself and your family nothing but the best.
Absolutely, Craig. Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Pro Mindset. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. 5 stars, of course. You can follow us on our website, promindsetpodcast.com, or on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Pro Mindset Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you the next time.
Leftovers or the DMV
Number 97
or house cleaning or Chumba Casino always brings the fun. Play over 100 different games online for free from anywhere. You could redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. Live the Chumba life. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Leftovers or the DMV
Number 97
or house cleaning or
Chumba Casino always brings the fun. Play over 100 different games online for free from anywhere. You could redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. Live the Chumba life. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.